Mike got to see the drama part of my business today.
Business.
It was fucking great. Magda's super pissed at me right now, and I'm trying to recover it. It's not good. It was bad.
20 seconds. 20 seconds. Where's my radio?
Oh, you had that live too, buddy.
I killed the mics. You're okay.
Yeah, well, just Thursdays. That's it. Everyone's awesome.
Do I need to stay close to this mic? Or I can
No, you chill wherever you're at.
be all over it
No, you sure don't.
You have the mics covered now, so nobody heard all that?
That is correct. Welcome to the Bear Facts on Guns, where host Derek Baer and his guests are locked and loaded to educate, inspire, and answer your questions about firearms. Today, what if? Ready? Aim. Derek.
We're going to do a slow welcome back in. Great job, buddy.
That was a fade out instead of a hard
super
stop.
good fade out. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Happy Thursday. How's everybody's week?
Good. It was good. You got a whole thing here.
I know. I'm super excited. I'm really am.
When I say whole thing, the studio is packed with people.
It is packed. It's packed so much so that you would never believe how packed it really is. I've never seen something so packed.
Yeah.
Ever.
That's right. for the
Except
thousands
for sardines.
and thousands of people
Thousands
out
of
there
people,
listening.
man.
Why does a 12-pack come to mind?
There you go.
It's because we just want a beer. Is really what it comes down
At
to.
the end of the day,
Should be a
We're-
magazine.
don't you have anything here?
Don't. It's hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you?
Whenever we have
we've
cups
got
on the table,
we got whiskey.
Fireball?
We got Fireball.
Yeah.
Some Fireball.
We're
Ooh.
supposed to talk about that stuff, man. That's what the solo cups are for. There's just water.
Yeah.
It's flavored like cinnamon goodness.
Like the Tonight Show used to be.
Not a drinking game.
Coffee cups.
Drinking game and guns? That sounds like fun.
What if?
What if?
What if?
See what happens right away. I want to thank you, Tom. Welcome back to the show. Really appreciate it. And I hope your wife speedy recovery. We've been thinking about it on our show. I mention it every single week. And
I appreciate it. Thank you for your thoughts and prayers,
of course.
as they say. And it's coming along. So that enables me to be here tonight. And it's been a long time coming. I've been away.
Yeah.
I miss you guys.
I miss you too,
You know,
buddy.
at
I
the end of
forgot
the
your
day, come and get all charged up again. And then you give me this great musical score with the momentum's going. And, you know, that's the trick of the show, keeping the same momentum as your opening
That's
musical piece from,
It's
you know,
the blood
Gladiators coming over the hill.
Ken did a great job picking that and working with it, and he played a bunch of different songs for me, and that one just sits where it's like that 300 music where you're just dun dun dun. It's amazing. I love it so much. Can't thank you enough, buddy. And I want to welcome to the show for the first time ever my
Hey.
other co-host
Hey.
on the Dream Home Experts, Mike.
Krejci.
Hey, no, I'm terrible at that. Still haven't got his last name
Mike.
perfect yet.
Mike.
Mike.
Maybe after today's show, I'll just stay
Krejci.
Mike.
Yeah,
We don't need any
it's
last
just
name.
Mike.
I need Mike. That's all I need. I still can't pronounce Art's last name properly either. I sneeze every
Yeah,
time.
well,
Chinko.
He's Mike.
So-
He's just Mike.
I'm
It's
just
Mike.
Mike. I'm the
Mike
Mike.
K.
the
That's all.
Mike. Yeah.
Uh,
the Mike.
so-
There's Michael Perry.
Yeah.
Michael
Gotta-
Perry.
Everybody else has the phone.
Oh, Michael Perry was awesome.
Right.
Instrumental in making sure that Vic
Very
did not know. Inside joke. Watch Stream Home Experts a couple episodes ago. We played a big joke on.
Yeah, so don't
yeah, that's it.
don't adjust your clocks. It's not Friday night. We got
No.
2/3, really half of the
Half?
Dream Home Experts here. So,
Yep.
but we're talking guns tonight. What if? What
What
if?
if
I
guns?
know.
What if the Dream Home Experts talk guns?
It's amazing,
What
right? Yeah, I mean, well, it does play in the same part, and why we have expert Tom here with this kind of stuff, because Tom is an expert in his field. This guy has been through a ton in his life. He's an expert in what he preaches. He's the same core values that I have as a person.
We found out he's a gringo in the green
He's
room.
a gringo.
Hey, fellas, I'm a gringo.
Talking
And now,
about
and now I'm an
grenade.
old gringo.
Yeah.
That's what they call me down in South America.
The story you just told me today blew my freaking mind. And what if is it literally lended the entire show right
Truly.
there. And what if I dropped that pin and I probably wouldn't be here. Funny story. So really with the topic of conversation, welcome in, Mike, by the way. Thank you so much. Welcome in, Tom, and always pleasure, Kent.
Yeah.
What if?
So a big thing, right? The big thing is what's happening in Chicago right now with the police force. That's the what if, right?
That's the start of the conversation, right? Because really what it comes down to is what if we lose the Chicago Police Department? What happens?
Don't you have the state?
You have to what?
Don't you have the state or county police departments?
You do, but are they sanctioned in? So police officers have different zones that they're able to have jurisdiction value to. So they could literally go into a jurisdiction zone that's not available for them and not be able to arrest somebody or act on it. Right. Now, the sad part about it, Chicago is huge and has a million people living in it. So when you have that many people, that becomes almost lawless. You could have every county in the entire state try to contain whatever's about to happen down there. Is not going to happen.
So the story is, for those not familiar with Chicago, is the mayor of Chicago has a mandate that you must be vaccinated to work in a public setting, right? Which means police officers and that. The police officers and the police officer union for the Chicago police said, you stepped over the bounds and we don't need to, and we don't need to let you know if we are.
Yep.
So about 50%, a little more than 50% of the police force now is ready to walk out if she doesn't take away that mandate, the mayor.
Yep.
Right. And I think she's in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah. It's a public safety thing. Yeah. So if you want to talk about, and we're not going to jump into this vaccine conversation, whatever. No, it's not what we're trying to go. We're stating the facts of what's happening and why we're having this conversation. So, at the end of the day, your public safety, when it comes to one thing, right? So you're in her mind, and I'm going to speak on behalf of what her mentality is, and I don't want this to go south quick here. The mandate of it is for public safety because everyone's vaccinated in a public setting, which makes everyone safer, right? You are now taking away the one phone call when you need it for an emergency. It's gone. Yeah. You call and it just keeps ringing. So I've seen plastered all over Facebook with stay out of Chicago this weekend.
Oh, yeah, no, that's going to be Wild West on there.
So, number one, let's talk about two scenarios. What if she backs down and allows the police department to win that battle where they don't have to walk off the force, and Chicago is not a free, lawless place with 1 million people put in it? What if? What happens? She is now not as powerful as she feels, right? As a political standpoint, the mayor. Because now she has to lay down the fact that, hey, I made this rule and sanction, and now the police department has made it very obviously known that I don't want to do that. So now on a political end, does that damage her political career? It probably is not going to help it.
It's a little thing.
Just a little. I'm pretty sure campaign managers going, I would have picked a different choice of words on that one. Right. So let's talk about what if it does? What if 50% or more of the police department walks off? You literally lose that phone call.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what's your background in protecting yourself?
Martial arts.
Cool. So what if you lived in Chicago with your wife?
I'd be on vacation this weekend. Out of Chicago.
Okay. Sounds good. Tom, we all know your background of how amazing you are at what you do. What would you be feeling like right now walking into a weekend like this?
Well, I think it's a good time to make sure you have a good defensive perimeter around your home. Make sure that...
Explain that. What does that mean?
I would say, well, it's interior and exterior.
Okay.
So you want to take care of your outer perimeter. You can't really do that on your property line, unless you have fencing and that sort of thing. But you can fortify your doors, your windows, put Mylar on your adhesive acetate sort of thing on your windows, so in case someone wants to break in, the glass stays together. It's it buys you time. It doesn't preventive. It's not proof. It's not foolproof, but that buys you some time. But one of the things we talked about in previous shows is to fortify that front door more than anything, because most bad guys, they're just lazy. They're not going to go in window wells like we think, like cat burglars and everything. Okay, if they want to single you out, if there's a night of wilding, so to speak, they're going to go to that front door. They're going to go to the windows. They're going to start kicking them in. And if you have the proper amount of deadbolts on your door and the door frame, the face plate, and that's a secure area with thick, 3-inch screws holding that faceplate in there inside the door. That's going to buy you time. Granted, if they have battering rams and they stay at it, but chances they won't. And that comes back to our concealed carry training when we talk about justification or exoneration for use of deadly force when someone is coming into your home in a tumultuous, violent manner. Much different than opening the door and going down and having a bowl of Cheerios at your kitchen table and not threatening you. Okay, can't shoot someone for that, but if they're bashing in your front door, then deadly force is pretty much authorized as stated by the state itself.
So then it becomes a question here. So we talk about all this anti-gun, and the mayor has been pushing so much anti-gun, and with the current administration in the world right now too. It makes you wonder at this point, like, if I lived in Chicago, I'd be doing exactly the same stuff you'd be. I'd be locking my fortress down in any way, shape, or form. I'd have guns throughout my house to make sure that they were accessible in any way, shape, or manner. And I'd start to go into almost panic mode, because the one safety net to me is to call the police. I'm not a Wild West kind of guy. I don't need to walk around on my hip and, hey, I got a gun, I can do this. No, my gun is a shield. It has always been a shield. It's there for my protection and for my family's protection. It's only used in such manner. The bigger part of what you just said, and what I want to pay attention to, and my advice for people that are in Chicago, and what if the police department walks out, just remember the police department will be coming back at some point, shape, or form. Either the federal government will step in, SWAT will step in, FBI, CIA, whoever it is, you will be arrested for unlawful use of a firearm. Plain and simple. So it's a scary thought, and I can't even believe we're having this conversation, right?
Yeah. So are you that paranoid? I mean, you would literally...
Yeah.
You would literally, if you lived in Chicago, be on lockdown. And I mean, you're that paranoid if half of the people, half the police force left.
So you remember this thing called rioting that happened last year, right?
Peaceful demonstrating. Yes.
Cool. There's friends of mine.
Yeah, that's why glass was broken.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Fires, cars blown.
I've never seen so much plywood being put up in an entire city ever in my life.
Downtown Tennessee.
And that was with a full police department.
Yeah.
I have friends that have lost businesses, stolen jewelry. One of my employees' mother used to own a jewelry store downtown. Her insurance wouldn't cover it because it wouldn't cover rioting. Sure. Her insurance didn't cover rioting. So she lost her business because of peaceful demonstration. So to answer your question, Kent, absolutely. Because at one point when we start to lose lawlessness, I'm stuck on it. When we lose the law, right, for the upstanding citizens, I'm not going to be able to get that one out. It rolled on there as well. We now become a state of survival in my eyes, right? So survival is the biggest thing. Hey, Jen.
Hey, love.
What's up? And Keith, no writing, mostly peaceful. What Uncle Pete say? 12 gauge and 20 gauge at the ready, just saying. See, he's on the same part of it as well.
So I believe that humans are better, right?
You're wrong.
And listen, and here's where I stand.
Sure.
Right? Because I'm a non-gun owner. We say that, and we let the new listeners know.
What's your address?
Yeah.
Right? How much money do you have in your house?
Yeah, come on in the station. Whatever. It's great. I got a grenade right there.
I got a quarter.
So if you're scared, don't you think a lot of other people are going to be scared? So people are going to be like, I'm just going to sit here.
So scared versus prepared is two very different things.
And that's the part that I was going to key in on when Derek mentioned the word panic. if you don't have the training, then a lot of people will panic.
Yep.
If you have the training, and just remember the story of Three Little Pigs?
Yeah.
Okay. There's I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down.
Yeah.
Okay, well, where did the other two little pigs go? I mean, in the G-rated version of the
They were
of the
eaten by
Three
the
Little
wolf.
Pigs. So that's the R-rated
Oh.
version.
All
right.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
We
that's
have
the
a
only
very,
one I
very
remember.
different definition of R-rated.
There was
Tom, than me
bacon
and you.
splattered all over in the R-rated version. In the G-rated version, and Ray Rayner in the morning, you remember that one.
Yeah.
All right, they run into the other the pig's house who built it out of brick.
Right.
Okay. First of all, I like your idea of getting out of town, taking the family out for a while. Great idea, but the only thing is then you might have squatters in your house if there's total lawlessness.
Yeah.
Right.
He's
So-
so much better at saying that than I am. I'm not going to give it a time
I
at
took
this
my
point.
time. I'm older. I talk slower. Okay? I can't keep up with him.
Yeah.
I mean, wham.
Sorry, sometimes.
So, all right, but there's no need to panic if you
Right.
have the proper exterior perimeter again,
Yeah.
and you're fortified and you have training. And we talk about this in our tactical home defense class,
Mhm.
where we focus on it. It's one of our more popular classes. A lot of people go there because of this what if scenario. Okay, what do I do in my home? All right, I wish I could show, it would take up too much time, but there's a scene out of the, I think it's 1972 movie Straw Dogs with Dustin Hoffman.
With Dustin Hoffman.
He fends off about 5 attackers, home invaders, just with bear traps and boiling hot water and crowbars. Okay?
Strategically
So-
placed, obviously.
So it's
Like Home Alone.
yeah, Home Alone. Yeah,
There we
Home
go.
Alone.
There's a thinker right there. There's
Yeah.
a smart kid that's survival without. Yeah, go ahead.
So it's if you have a plan, and most people don't have a plan, and they don't want to discuss that with a spouse because they don't want to scare the spouse, and they don't want to try and initiate that kind of panic. But you have to at least have some knowledge of what you're going to do if they come in here, if they come in here, if they come in here. We have in the TAC Home Def, that's what we call it, class. We talk about standoff points within the home.
Mm-hmm.
These are points within the home that offer you a semblance of cover. Cover will stop around.
Yep.
Concealment will only hide you, but it will not stop the round. So these standoff points, and if you have a 2-story home, it's better for you.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the bedrooms are up on the second floor.
High ground, baby.
There's no
Right.
need to go down. If they're bashing in the door, don't go down there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because especially if there's a lot of them. But what you have, if you're at the top of the stairwell, you have what's called a choke point, just like the Spartans at Thermopylae.
Just gonna say that, baby.
Okay,
Right.
Smart and Spartan. Smart
300
and
Spartans
Smart.
held off 20,000 Persians because they can't all fit
Mm-mm.
through the same choke point in Thermopylae. Okay, so if you're at the top of the stair, you could call the police that may or may not come, but there you are. You can wait, and it's good to use voice commands too. Voice commands by itself might chase them out. Then you heard the old adage of racking the shotgun and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, true. I would have mine already ready to go, but let them know, and it's going to help you in court too, that you gave them voice commands.
Yep.
Get out of the house now. The police are on the way.
I just
Well, if the police aren't there, someone's coming. Don't worry. Okay.
Right.
Or if no one's coming, just come up those stairs and see what happens to you. Okay. It's okay to give voice commands as a warning for them to back off, because if they still keep on coming up those stairs, what's their intent? After you tell them, I'm
Mhm.
armed, get out of my home, they still keep on coming, or they throw some rounds in your direction. Okay. Then you're talking a deadly force situation. And you have the high ground,
Mhm.
you have cover, and you have a choke point.
Yep.
And that's the ideal situation. That's
Yeah.
part of that planning.
Yep.
What am I going to do? And you create a buffer zone,
Mhm.
whether it's the male or the female's partner who is at that standoff point, and the other one is with the kids far back in your safe haven, which could be the master bedroom, bathroom, or
Panic
walk-in closet, someplace.
Panic room.
You don't want to be standing just on the other side of the door
Sure.
with your shotgun as they're bashing in the door you see in the movies, and your whole family's right behind you.
Yep.
Because once they come in, things are going to happen real fast.
So that, I guess that comes back to me, Kent. So you're saying that, you can call it either way. I know me and Tom think of it as preparedness because we just want to be prepared. I am prepared at all times for everything I can think of in my own head all the time. My car has certain things in it that are squared away that if X, Y, and Z happens, we lose power, whatever it is, I have stuff that's ready to go so that I can survive with nothing. So I can survive off the land, right? That's the whole point. What would you do? So if you're in downtown, so what if, right? What if you're living downtown with your wonderful wife and your wonderful kids and they all walk out and then all you hear is firing shots across the city? What do you do?
You mean the police all walked out?
Yeah, police walked out, but then so now law's gone. I can't say lawless. I'm not going to even try.
What's up, law dog?
But now you hear gunshots.
Yeah.
In a neighborhood that you've never heard gunshots in your entire life. Would you, as a homeowner and as a father and a husband, feel differently about your preparedness of what's about to go down because you thought that human nature was good?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, we've got escape routes for fires and things like that, and we've talked about it.
Sure.
If a home invasion happened, what do you do? Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're talking about one of the cities with the highest rates of crime this year.
Yep.
Anyway, and you've got a full police force, right? So how much worse is it going to get? Maybe not at all. And like I said, a lot of people may be scared or worried and say, oh man, we're not going anywhere. We're hunkered down because the police are gone. Others are going to be like, hey, let's go down to Target and get a new TV. I mean, right? Right.
5-finger discount,
Yeah,
baby.
Last year all over again.
Last year all
Right.
over again.
And I, so I think with my own situation is this what if is, hey, let's see what happens and be ready for anything. But I wouldn't be running to the store to get toilet paper and milk today because they're going to be, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be in that panic of a mode.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, all right, we'll be fine. It's just a weekend, whatever. They'll be back.
Tom, when pandemic hit, I'm just going to ask you a personal question. Did you run out and buy a whole bunch of stuff before it happened?
Toilet paper.
No, I had enough stuff actually.
So that's what I want to hint at.
Right.
Somebody like and Mike and I had lunch together today, right? Or dinner or whatever you want to call it. It was later, so my lunch is usually around 4 or 5 o'clock anyway. It was funny because he's sat in a restaurant with me and immediately noticed. Right, go ahead, you can go ahead and say it.
He sat, so he was looking at the door, and that's usually what I do too. So I was sitting watching the other door.
So it's funny, right? Because martial arts training, right? At tactical training and military background, civilian trained, self-trained, also where my grandfather was a cop. I mean, I've been around guns my whole life. I guess just being self-aware of what the world is like in general. And at the end of the day, my wife knows it too. When we go to restaurants, I sit facing the door. She just knows it. She's okay with it. She feels safer that way. And I feel safer and not as, my OCD doesn't kick in where I have to be in that place. I didn't run out and buy toilet paper either. I was appalled that everyone went out and bought all this toilet paper. I'm like, first off, I have a month's worth of toilet paper on hand pretty much all the time. It's just me and my wife. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to go fight 500 people to get a roll of toilet paper. I'm just going to shit in a bucket and use good old Mother Nature's
or
wiping,
shirt,
whatever it is.
Bidet.
Or you can be like Mike and be smart and get a bidet. I still can't get my wife to believe that the bidet is worth the money I want. It's not even about the money. It's just about the bidet itself. She just doesn't believe it.
You mean the French foot wash?
Yeah, exactly.
It's upgraded.
When I was in
Why
Paris,
do I
I
know
thought
that
it
you
was a
have
foot
some?
wash. I had the cleanest feet when I stayed in Paris.
Oh my God.
Yeah, when you have that other porcelain fixture, you're not sure if you haven't been around. Yeah, exactly.
Why is there two? So we went to Vegas, right, with Don Bremer and had a great time. And I made a joke. I was like, oh, there's a water fountain. Like, it's so convenient. You have a water fountain sitting right next to you. So, and I took a picture of it. I obviously knew what it was, and I wasn't going to obviously drink anything of it, but it was absolutely hilarious to do.
It's clean water.
Yeah, it's clean. Maybe.
I'm not going to even attempt
I wouldn't drink it.
Vegas in general. I wouldn't lick anything in Vegas. But why
Unless
is there,
you're really
why is
drunk
there,
or something.
Why is there
good.
two, though? Why is there two porcelains next to each other? Why wouldn't the bidet be in the same? Do you like... We had a great poop episode a couple weeks ago, and I love it. We're going to jump right into
our toilet episode. Yes.
Why is there two? Do you know why?
It's the way it was back in the day.
Do you,
before
like,
they
shift
built
over?
Yeah.
So you just take a crap in one and you shift over to the other one.
Correct.
Okay.
That's how it
Whatever.
used to be.
What
yes.
We're going to talk about that later.
What if?
Well, one is the
What if-
water
what
is
if-
going down, the other the water's coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But you
what
still
if-
have to shimmy over to
what
the other
if-
side.
What if the gun show is actually about guns?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
We can get off topic real quick.
Very
Just a little
easily.
bit. A little bit. Right?
So
And all from toilet paper.
I know, see, but it is.
So preparedness.
The thing for thank you for getting me back on track.
Thanks, Jess.
Yeah, appreciate that. So when you talk about preparedness, I'm always as prepared as I possibly can be to at least make it whatever it is, right? I don't think normal people think like that ever. Because whenever I leave the house, I have a list of things and everything goes in my backpack or on me as a person so that it's next to me at all times. Do you do that, or you just walk out of the house with like your keys and your phone and that's it?
No, I don't even lock my door at home. This is where I live.
What's your address?
The second time. Mike's
Isn't that the ideal though?
Yeah.
That's the ideal.
Right.
In America, and this is what it should be. And when you live out in a place, in
I'm out in the
McHenry
woods,
County, but you have
Yeah, I'm not in downtown Chicago. It'd be different
Right.
if you're downtown Chicago.
yeah.
So what if?
Look at the probability.
Yes.
I mean, but as we grow up, that's
Are you trying to say I'm a child?
the safest place people feel is in their home, right? Because that's what we're taught as kids. We play tag. Hey, this is home base. I'm free.
Yep.
Right. So I believe that a lot of people feel safe in their home,
Mhm.
whether they're prepared or they're not. Right. So
Yeah.
Until they're not.
typically not. But what if again? How many times do you see a police officer rolling down your street in this what if scenario
Sure.
on a regular basis when all the police are there, right? So you don't see them. So in essence, if half walk off, the only way you're going to miss these people is if it gets crazy like the Wild West and rioting and burning and it's coming down your street as you say.
So,
Right.
but first off, Jessica, thanks for commenting. I don't know if you saw that already. Yeah. And my grandma's on here too, so I know that my grandfather's watching too. Hi, Papa, and hi, Bon Bon. My grandfather actually has his 80th birthday coming up soon,
Nice.
a couple weeks out, so I can't wait to celebrate that over the phone. So you're saying, what if police department's not there? What if half the police department is that phone call? So now you have panic and riots inside the city because people are scared and they're trying to get supplies, and now the bad people that have come out in drones, and they have all these illegal firearms that don't care about that stuff.
Or
legal. You're right. But you have all these firearms that it could possibly end up on the street. Whose fault is this? Is this a gun fault, or is this a political fault of segregation of what should be done versus what actually is being done? Whose fault is that? Hey, Chris Gibson. Welcome into the show. So we're talking about what if for those of you tuning in right now. And the what if scenarios are happening more and more. My mom's husband, Roger, needs knee surgery. And he is 12 weeks out right now, waiting to get a surgery date, just a date, to get into the hospital to actually get the surgery done. And the reason is because the half the staff of the hospital left because of one thing, the vaccine mandates. Mm-hmm. So if you want to talk about what if scenarios, well, now you've removed half the police department. Whether there's half the police department and all the gun violence that's going on, and we've clearly shown that it's actually weird parts of Illinois that have the worst gun violence, which is nowhere near the city.
So I guess let's understand what happens. right?
Yeah.
You're a police officer,
Yep.
and you walk. Is it mandatory that you put your shield and gun down, or do you take that home with you and you say, well, you know what, I'm on strike, right? I don't know that, right? So if half walk out and they still have their guns, well, you know, if they've got a good bone in their body and something goes down, maybe they're there, maybe they're not, maybe plain clothes, who knows, right? I don't know.
Well, there's your issue gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
That's what I'm talking
it's the
about.
city's right to say, all right, listen, you want to walk out, but I mean,
Right.
that's kind of it's very definitive. I'm done. I'm totally done. Here's badge and a gun.
Right.
Mhm.
Temporarily on strike might be a different story. There's probably some police officers who can chime in on that if they could say it. But all the police officers I know have a heck of a lot more guns than just their service
Right.
or their issue gun.
Issue.
So sure, you take it.
Yeah.
Fine, take it. All right, now I'm going home where I have a whole cache of firearms and ammunition, and I'm going to secure my my domain.
So if there's a Chicago police officer listening to this right now and has something that they want, we can send you a link, and you don't have to put your face on there. You have to put your name on there. You can be completely anonymous if you'd like to as well, because I obviously like to hear your side of what it is, and what exact conversations. What if?
Right.
So what if the city is the start of it, and now what if your town is now requiring it, and half your police department walks out? What if your town's half of that? And now we've slowly gone into a progression of the crime then comes to the suburbs and then goes back to the city for asylum because they know they're not going to get caught and there's no way around it. It just happened in Northbrook. $66,000 was stolen in Louis Vuitton with an armed security guard with 8 suspects. This is the third time this has happened to this physical store.
Mm-hmm.
Northbrook is a very expensive area. It's a very wealthy area. It's very well known in Chicago as being that. You have Tiffany's, you have Louis Vuitton. Here's the weird thing, right? And here's the thing that's confusing to me. Louis Vuitton gets hit 3 times. Ask me how many times Tiffany's has been hit. None. Tiffany's is literally across the hall from where Louis Vuitton is. I'm pretty sure a diamond is worth a heck of a lot more than a bag.
Oh, I thought you meant the cafe. I thought we were having breakfast at Tiffany's.
Breakfast at
Tiffany's.
Tiffany's.
Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's a good one right there.
There you go.
Tiffany's and Company. Blue box.
That dry humor.
That's right.
I love it.
That's right.
Wait, did you just make a joke?
Yeah.
All right.
Would you think that the mayor may be preparing for something like that?
Correct.
If that happens, like, wouldn't she be like setting up and preparing other forces to be able to help on that?
So what other force is there?
National Guard, like.
I mean, the National Guard has
Yeah.
been circling around Chicago for
Right.
a really long time. And Jessica's got a really long comment here, so we'll get to that in a second. National Guard's been here and can be activated, but then we're now in a war zone. Like, is that what's going to be martial law at that point? I don't know what happens. Are you locked in? Are you shut down? Are they going to start shooting people? I mean, there's a lot of questions that kind of come into play.
Oh, absolutely, but if everybody's going nuts, then yeah, I would.
It's a scary scenario.
Yeah,
So Jessica, thanks for listening and chiming in. She says, peace of mind, the knowing the force is there, I think, is the point. Not necessarily that you'll need them. Also, this is what if it's risk versus reward. For me, the reward of having a gun in McHenry, if I need it, versus the risk of my kids finding it doesn't weigh out for me right now. But if I was in Chicago, it would be a different story. But I do see the point of why not be prepared? What do you have to lose to be prepared in those what-if situations? Making me think tonight. Thank you.
Really good. And she has a great point, obviously. And thank you for that, Jessica, as well. And we have many conversations, me and her, because she's a single mom with 3 kids. And she's always thought about, she likes guns. She has nothing against them. She just can't find the reason to purchase them. And it comes down to training and safety, right? She's worried, correct. And as she stated in there, she's worried about her kids finding it. And we did an episode a little bit ago, and the answer is you just need training. You need training. You need proper security. We had a great guy on here that had hidden safes inside the walls and cool picture frames. Sam.
Invictus safe.
Invictus safes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool different things that can go on there. At the end of the day, the conversation, if you want to, if you're thinking about purchasing a firearm and you're having that question that Jessica's having right now, which is the fact of I want to make sure, I want to have a gun to feel safe, but I also want to make sure my kids are safe too. I test you to call your local gun range. Call on target if you're in McHenry area. Tom will take really good care of you. His staff will take amazing care of you. You don't have to buy a gun to go learn how to have gun safety in places like On Target. You can rent firearms. You can learn about all the guns and leave the gun behind because it's not yours until you're ready to purchase it. And until you're safe and feel safe and secure, go try it out. You want to hear what it sounds like. You want to feel how it shoots. I took Magda to the range last week, Friday, and she really wanted to shoot my AR. And she's always loved the AR. She's loved the style and how it looks, and she's never shot one before. And after she shot it, she was like, wow, this thing's heavy. It's weird to shoot, which was fine. And she got about 10 rounds done, and she's like, hey, I'm good right now. It's not that she's never going to touch it again. She just was in shock that it wasn't what she thought it was, which is fine. It probably makes her and her husband have a conversation about, hey, should I purchase this now or should I wait for this as well and maybe go back again? At the end of the day, I feel better that I showed her that rather than her going to buy a firearm that she's not going to be comfortable with and have it in the house and never use it, right? So there's ways to do things as well, right, Tom?
There is a matrimony between the security of your house and the readiness of your guns, and it comes down to the time factor. Let me give you an example. Wild Bill Hickok and Wyatt Earp sitting in their lazy boys watching Tombstone, and
Love that movie.
they might even have their guns right on them. But here they are with a bowl of popcorn. Okay, that door gets kicked in. They don't have any time to react. Even pistoleros like them, not a lot of time to react. If someone comes right through there, you're talking a 1 second, 2 seconds, bam, they're in your living room right in front of you. Okay, there might be the reach, but that's it. What we're trying to do and what we talked about before is if you have a secure perimeter, it is not infallible. It's not break proof, but what it does, it buys you time to get to that gun safe. Now, I don't mean the safe down in the basement where all your guns and family jewels are hidden. You won't make it.
Mine are in my pants.
But if you have, let's say, that gun vault, or you have the hide in plain sight furniture where it's right there, for the kids in the house, you can still have that peace of mind knowing that my kids can't operate this gun because I don't have it. I don't have one in the chamber. So if you're single, you're all by yourself, you want to carry it one in the chamber, you're the only one that's going to get it in your house, that's great. But if you have children and that's a concern, then you buy the time. So you can take the gun out of the false shelf and then rack in a magazine, rack in a round. Okay? So that's something that a lot of 2-year-olds can't do.
Right.
Okay.
Hell, I have trouble.
So
I'm 50.
I have a lot of 35-year-olds.
It was definitely a fun show at the gun range with Kent trying to load it.
So buy the time, and that seems to be the biggest buffer of all for your safety and security. If you have enough time to say, wow, someone's trying to kick in my door. Okay, I got about 10 seconds before he gets through there. I'm going to get my gun. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the magazine. I'm going to put it in. I'm going to rack it, if that's a factor for you.
And that's why I think like the cameras are really nice. The Ring doorbell or whatever, cameras that notify you if there's moving out there, you can be aware that somebody's coming, gives you even more time.
Whether you're home or not. I mean, if your wife and kids are home and you're not, you get the notice on your...
Yeah, the expert studio down there, I got tons of cameras on that, inside and out. So I know if somebody's coming from a ways away.
Yeah.
I have 21 cameras in my house, and I know everyone thinks I'm crazy with that kind of stuff.
19 of them are in his bedroom.
Right over me, watching me.
Never
sleep.
mind.
That's another show.
That's
the late night version.
Green room.
Yeah, that's right.
At the end of the day, I test a lot of products, but I also know that when someone's walking up my driveway, I know what 3 cameras are gone off. I also know that every perimeter, I have every inch of my backyard and front yard covered, and it's AI rung. So I know if it's an animal or if it's a human. So we'll say person detected, and then if another camera goes off, person detected, another camera goes off, person detected. I probably should pay attention to what the heck's happening in my house right now. So again, preparedness.
Right.
But that's how I do
I'll
it.
go back to the what if situation. So I'm there in downtown Chicago, don't have a gun, and on a seemingly peaceful street, right?
Sure.
And the police walk off. But to your point, you said earlier in the show, what if all of a sudden there's bullets racing down the street?
Yep.
Right. Now, for how long? Is it pop, 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 and then done? Or is it like pop, 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 pop?
All it takes is one, buddy.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Because the first shot that goes off, you're going to think, oh, somebody threw a firecracker. You know? And then you're like, okay.
Yep.
Everybody good? Good? Okay. Right? But now if it's a shootout, then that poses a whole different what if. Right?
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like, all right, everybody into the basement or whatever, where there's some cement walls where the bullets won't pierce through your entire house because you don't know what's out there, right?
Yep.
Or upstairs or whatever you want to do, whatever your plan was. But
I just think if you live in Chicago right now, you need to have some kind of preparedness going on for right now, because what if scenario?
You do when the police are around too. I mean, the idea is if today and tomorrow you're like, oh shit, we better prepare, you're probably too late. I mean, there's probably things you can do, but you're probably too late.
Yeah, the average response time when you have a fully staffed police department nationwide, the average response time is about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So that takes into consideration, way out in the boonies, how long does it take a deputy sheriff to get to your house, plus the city, downtown Chicago, let's say, when you have a full staff. So when you don't have a full staff, it doesn't just double. It'll probably quadruple the amount of time if they come at all, because they're going to have their hands full.
Yeah.
And I heard some shooting going on. That's different. That's a different call to the dispatcher than there's someone breaking in my door right now, shooting his way in. Okay.
Yeah. So,
you have all the relativity of the different scenarios all thrown together.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's, in the what if situation, the way that I live and believe in people, the way that, my household is, I don't know if I'd do anything different this weekend.
And really, are they going to be on a residential street? They'll probably be more in the town, like going into like they did last year, going into stores and stealing the TVs. And,
peacefully demonstrating.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I think that would be the more likely before it got to your neighborhood. So you would have some warning. Yeah. Like, unless everybody knows you got a stash, you got $1 million in cash sitting in there, why would they be
You're at
running up on your house?
A lot of
but we would take it.
Yeah, a lot of criminals they're
not logical.
A lot of them are not logical, but then again, some of them, the older ones who have lived long enough to know a little bit about the world, they're going to know the kind of neighborhoods where they're not going to venture.
Right.
All right. Now, a bunch of yuppies in Wicker Park who don't believe in guns. Okay, it's like the old scenario of who the lion takes.
Yeah. Do
you go after the hyena? Or the jackals like us, or are you going to go after the not the gazelle? They're too fast. Let's see, give me one. Zebra.
The zebra.
All right, go after the zebra because that's an easy kill. So where are they going to go? They're going to go to those neighborhoods that they know don't really have the guns. Now you get a blue collar working man neighborhood in the Northwest Side, and I'd venture to guess you have a pretty high ratio of gun owners there, and bad guys know that. So they're probably not going to go there. They could,
right?
But some of them are just random attacks. Let's hit this place. It looks like a good place. They got a lot of stuff inside. Right. But a lot of times, and another thing we teach, somehow, usually when there's an orchestrated attack on a house or an invasion, remotely, whoever made that invasion, they kind of know that house from before. And they target it for a reason. You don't
really do random. I mean, if you think about it, when you're a criminal, you don't really find a random house and just jump in because you don't know your exit points as well. And I talk about this a lot with security cameras when we deal with our business. When I go up to a customer's house and am giving a quote for that, I actually do an aerial view of their house. And what I'm looking for is easy in and easy out. Because if I was a thief and wanted to steal from you, I'm going to find the least point of least resistance, meaning that there's a highway nearby, there's a train station nearby, there's some mode of transportation that I have an exit point to be able to run to. If you get in a highway, then you can drive really fast and go wherever it is.
And Thomas said that, right? Most home invasions are people that you know.
Well, let's take the case about a year and a half ago, Arlington Heights. And you guys remember it, you probably saw the YouTube. Guy opens the door. That was his first mistake. Yeah. 2 guys, masks. All right. And right away, they barged their way in. Mm-hmm. He fights with one. He runs off. The other one has a gun, takes his family hostage in master bedroom. Homeowner goes back inside after he fights one guy, goes back inside, gets his gun out of his safe, and shoots the guy in his master bedroom who's holding his family. When it all came out in the wash and they caught the other guy who got away and he didn't get far, it became known that they targeted that house because the guy who was killed had been in that house before, years before, and he told his accomplice, hey man, they have shoe boxes full of $100 bills. Mm-hmm. Now okay, maybe they don't have it. Maybe it's a different owner now.
Right.
But that's why they chose that house. Yeah. So it could be, just a friend of a friend of a friend. Your teenage kids have a big party and they invite kids from all over who don't have respect for the home. Yeah. It's not your kid. It's not his immediate friends. It's usually a friend of a friend who might say, you know what, this is a good hit. If we come back here, maybe when they're on vacation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and let's go back to something that was said in the green room, which I think a lot of people need to hear too. Mike, you have spent several years in martial arts. Yes. And you're like, bring it, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you know how to handle situations of all. Right. And you said, Derek, well, how's that stop an AR-15? Where are you at on that what if situation?
If it's your time to go, it's your time to go.
Yeah, right. I mean, and Mike's the most peaceful guy I've ever met in my entire life, by the way. So I knew he was going to say that internally because at the end of the day, he understands and he's at zen with his life in general. And part of martial arts is being one with yourself, I guess. But
certain martial arts,
correct.
Yeah. But I mean, you're not catching the bullet in your teeth.
No, I'm not that magical. Right. Like, come on.
What did you study?
Cool.
I've done Taekwondo, Jeet-Kune-Do, and it was Wing Chun, Tai Chi, and Wushu.
You sound like Eddie Murphy and telling the cops all the skills he knows.
Almost.
Yeah. Well, it's impressive. It sounds impressive.
The thing about Mike that I love a lot about him is he's very relaxed, even during super stressful situations, which you can tell is years of training, right? You don't. Right. He doesn't get like all flustered and stuff like that. You can tell that he's relaxing himself. He's preparing for it. So in a fist fight, I would have no question in my mind that Mike would be able to take a lot of people that you wouldn't think that he would be able to take. But it just poses the question that a gun versus a knife, you bring a knife to a gunfight. I mean, it's really not a fair fight. When we're dealing with situations with a family, I feel like your panic level automatically goes higher because your family's involved. It's not just you.
But when it goes higher, then you lose focus of what you should really be doing.
Exactly.
And you make mistakes.
So that's what the training part of everything we talk about is home invasion, defense training, and everything else. So you're because you've already been through those sessions. I can't wait to do his tactical training because it's going to put me in a place I've never been able to and allowed to be able to be in a place where I can do those kind of things. I can do it in my house all day long, but until you actually have a live round in your chamber and you're pulling from a holster and you're doing tactical home defense training, it's different than when I'm wandering around my house. And he's got some really cool classes.
And don't get too dependent on the underbelly flashlight on your gun. It's a lot of folks, I got this high beam flashlight and everything. Get to know your home and get to know how you perform while shooting in the dark, because that's an instant advantage you have of knowing your own home when it's dark, and a bad guy not knowing your home when it's dark, and knowing that you can hit your target as a fuzzy shape and identify it as a bad guy, not as a family member. We do that drill. We do a lot of low light shooting in the home defense.
Hey, and the house is dark.
It's you know what it is? It's a confidence builder.
Yep.
Because folks who attend the class, many of them have never had any low light shooting.
No.
They come to the range, everything's well lit, pow, pow, pow. Okay, I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
Then they go home.
I feel comfortable.
But let's turn down the lights, and then they still hit their target.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because they're concentrating on that front sight post, a little bit blurry, but still, if you concentrate on that and you still have a good trigger press with a good grip, you're still going to come pretty darn close to center mass, whether it's light or dark. And when they see that they can hit the target, even in the dark, with very minimum lighting, then that right away, it boosts their confidence exponentially.
Yeah, Pete says I earned a second degree in Brown, or a second degree Brown in Shotokan.
Shotokan.
He did some meme fighting as well. He says that's very different from a gunfight.
Yeah, like a mime.
Yeah, meme fighting.
Meme.
It's like the Matrix. Well, the Matrix.
Art, thanks for listening and tuning in. Says if someone breaks into your home, you shoot once, reload, shoot again, and then ask who it was to make sure they don't respond anymore. Jesus. That is.
Art, we all
And
know
even
that
in the
break
low
into
light
your home.
situations, with like knife versus gun, like you know your house, you could do very well in that situation too.
Yeah.
Just because they're not aware of what's going on in the dark. You know your house in the dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And, there's a video that came out years ago. It's probably 35, 40 years old, surviving edged weapons. And it drives the point home that someone skilled with a knife is going to win the day over someone who's not skilled with a gun. They're going to close the distance fast and be slashing away. And let's look at it this way, guys, that the criminal, let's back up. We like to consider ourselves good guys. What makes us good guys is that we try to be good people. We adhere to rules of society. We try to treat everyone with courtesy, but bad guys don't operate on the same level as we do. It's very selfish pursuit. What can I get out of someone? Their mind is trained that way, and they had more fights. They had more run-ins. They got the battle scars. Okay, so those who consider themselves the good guys got to look back and say, all right, when was the last time you really had that heart rate up in fear of getting in a fight, getting into some kind of altercation? So the more you do it, the more used to it you get. And that's what the bad guys do.
Yeah. So, and I've said this before, I think on an earlier show, being in the banking industry, I was part of a hostile takeover and had a guy, from me to you, Tom, so about 8 to 10 feet with a gun pointed right at my head. And I will tell you this, through the training that I had through the bank on how to handle a situation like that, the FBI was like, you did perfect, right? Because there was training involved on what to do if this sort of thing happens. Now, the other thing that I'll tell people is if you're not used to a situation like that, listen, the dude was
Shit your drawers.
Well, close, right? It happened, to your point, the police got there in 5 minutes. He was in and out in 4.5.
It's insane.
Right? So he was gone before the police all squatted up, come in, right? But it seemed like an hour. It seemed like 10, 15 minutes. Everything starts moving slower. Mm-hmm. You could feel the adrenaline pumping. The people who were working there were like, man, you look like a cartoon, because when he said that means you, and you turned around. Now I'm a bald guy, if you don't know, and they're like, all the color went like from out of your face around your head and then back like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Because when I turn around and I see a gun, I see two eye holes out of the mask and the hole of the gun pointed right at me, right? And I don't have a gun at that point because they weren't allowed in the banks, right? And I don't own a gun anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you're not, I don't care what you do or how you do it, if you're not trained to do it, to Tom's point, to Derek's point, to your point, Mike, you're screwed.
Yeah. Your reaction is going to be different. If let's say you're a concealed carry person, okay, you got your concealed carry. Your reaction to the assault is going to depend on the time element.
Yeah.
Because if it surprises you, if you're putting groceries in your car in the back trunk, or your back seat at Walmart, and it's 9:00 at night, and someone comes up behind you, you don't even have time. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you see it coming, you have a little bit of time for your plan. That's the time you need to say, wait a second. Even though I was in training and it wasn't real, I've kind of been here before.
Yep.
I have time to draw a gun or whatever it is. Whatever you do, you have a little bit more time. Let's look at the church shooting in Fort Worth a couple years ago. Okay. The good guy shooter kind of watched the scenario unfold from about 10 yards away.
Yeah.
Those poor two guys, the security guys who got shot, were right up on the bad guy. But he had red flags going up just like tip-ups on an ice lake in Wisconsin. There's first red flag. Someone very different among our parishioners, right?
Yep.
Someone very different, dressed differently, all by themselves. And here's another tip-up. Okay, argumentative. All right, this doesn't happen in church. All right, it's a stranger arguing. Next, he's wearing a long matrix-style coat to hide something. Okay, that's number 3. Number 4, he stands up and there's confrontation, verbal confrontation. That's 5. And then out comes the shotgun. Once the shotgun comes out, once a weapon, whether it be knife, whether it be shotgun, then we start falling into that deadly force realm. Now, the good guy shooter watched this unfold one step at a time, saying, wow, this is different. Oh, my goodness, this is not normal. All right.
Yeah.
So, hey, I'm armed. Hey, maybe I can make a difference. Now, once the weapon is exposed, okay, then it comes down to your reasonable belief. Do I have that reasonable belief that he's going to harm someone with that gun or kill them? Okay. And if that is true, that's what all court cases hang upon, is your reasonable belief that you had to act in a defensive manner and use deadly force.
You're going to take someone's life. You can't take that lightly. Whether they're a bad guy or not, you're taking someone off this planet Earth with your actions. Your decision has to be made at that point. And I don't disagree with it. And Uncle Pete just said here, I don't have my Illinois CCW. And I actually know why, but I will let him discuss why he doesn't have that. It's not that he doesn't believe in it.
He's a felon.
Yeah. I knew it. No, he does have 3 knives in his pocket at all times.
I thought he was just happy to see me.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so too. It kept rubbing against me too. It was weird.
You feel my knife? Oh, my goodness.
Yes. A little prickly.
That's right.
So we're running out a little bit of time here, but I want to just throw one more scenario in here, and it's really the scenario when it comes down to Singapore. And we have Gary that jumps on the show, and guns are illegal in Singapore completely. There's no question about it. It's like, I mean, they're talking about death penalties and some weird stuff for different crimes in that. And basically it's scared. And I actually jumped on one of the shows earlier a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him one question, which was about, do you feel free? Do you feel good about what your country's done? And his response to it was that he does, because there's battles you pick and choose with different things, and there's less crime because of it, but there's other problems because of it as well. So I posed a question to Greenmount earlier too, and I want to touch on it, and we're only got a couple minutes to talk about it. But Pete, we love you too, buddy. What if guns didn't exist? What if we got rid of guns in America? What's next? Lasers? Stormtroopers? When there's a will, there's a way. That's it. Mike and I were driving here today.
Well, you'd have to go back in that universal timeline and take away gunpowder, right?
But let's just say not guns gone away forever. Let's just say that guns stop right now. What if we got rid of guns today? There's a law that came out that if you own a gun and you're caught with ownership of a gun, it's a death penalty.
Still, people would keep them. They'd rather fight. Americans, we're hardwired for our freedom.
There's more guns in America than there are people.
Okay, so
we would still keep them. Many of us would still keep the gun.
And I don't doubt that conversation. But
bury them in the walls.
What if they went into every single home, removed the guns physically, and killed off the people that wanted to keep the guns and had it registered and everything was done? So at the end of the day, we have gotten rid of all the really good gun owners, the really bad gun owners, and just remove guns from America completely, what happens?
Would that stop crime?
It wouldn't, right? Because crime happens without firearms all the time. So my question to you, and you brought it up in the green room, was this evolutionary period of reincarnation.
Sticks and bats.
So what?
Bring out the sword.
Right? So, and when the sword progresses to something bigger, maybe an axe that's easier to carry, easier to conceal.
It'd be the bare facts on bow and arrows.
Yeah, bow and arrows.
Crossbows.
Yeah.
Or would that be considered a gun?
Think about a crossbow being
Projectile.
silent. You can't even hear it coming. You don't even know it's there, and you're gone.
And it'll pierce armor.
A deer could hear it
Yeah, they can.
in that last second.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
Dancing out of there.
Yeah, I think we, even if you go back to the cave, you got a rock, a stick, you found a way to defend yourself. I mean, there's going to be something,
sure,
right? And the other thing that I will say, that to answer another question earlier, is, are they going to blame the guns? They always will blame the guns, right? I mean, take a look at what happened,
sure,
up in Kenosha. Half the city's burnt down. We worry about one guy, one kid with a gun. What's the story?
Yep.
Right. So, it's always going to be the inanimate object's fault.
True. 100%.
So,
well, let's look at the core of that, if we may. Is it that object, or is it the people who carry those objects that they just don't like us having the freedom to defend ourselves? Why aren't we depending on the state to defend ourselves like they are in Wicker Park with their Starbucks latte that costs $8.50? Okay.
Right.
I know that guy. I can just picture this guy
with a man bun,
wearing deck
with
shoes
a
without
deck-
socks.
with a deck
with the
shoes.
man bun.
But you're not supposed to do that? You wear deck shoes with socks?
Yeah, I got my black socks
Oh,
that you go
man.
to Disney World
We're
with
gonna have
up
to
to
have a
my
whole
knee.
show about deck socks. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Derek, for having me on.
That is it, everybody. Hey, tune in tomorrow morning for Mary Catherine's Power Hour from 6 to 7. And then the grounds from 7:30 to 8:30, Bridging Civil Tension from 9 to 10, the Success Journey podcast. And hey, In the Know with Steph and Joe comes on at 3. The Dream Home Experts moving into a couple of new time slots, Sunday morning and Monday at noon. But they're live tomorrow at 8 p.m. sharp Central. Tune in for another great show there. And, of course, Saturday's another day, which is great. So, hey, thanks for getting caught in the net. What if?